Hello and welcome to your first Getting Started guide. My name is Kaching and I'm going to walk you through how to get started with Fusion 360 and start designing something right away. So the first thing you're going to do when you install Fusion 360 is sign in with your Autodesk account, and if you don't have one, you can click on the Create Account button and create an account right away at this step, and it's completely free, only takes about a minute or so. So I already have an account and I'm going to sign in and go from there. So when you sign in for the first time, you will see this step-by-step tutorials launchpad, and this will really allow you to start going through some of the fundamental ways of how to design in Fusion 360, how to use Fusion 360. If this is the experience you want to start off with, definitely check it out. If you don't want to go through a tutorial and you just want to jump into the tool right away, you can do that by clicking the X button. And when you do that, you'll see this this image that tells you that, hey, the tutorials are actually accessible through the help menu. So if you want to go back to a tutorial, if you want to access them later, definitely go through them through the help menu. So we're going to say got it, and we're going to jump right in. So we're going to actually design the lamp design that's shown in the tutorials. We're going to start off with the base. So I'm going to go over to the Create drop-down menu, and I'm going to select Cylinder. And now you see these three origin planes pop up, and we're going to select the bottom plane. So I'm going to click on the bottom plane once, and then I'm going to click on the center origin once, and I'm going to drag this out to be 100 millimeters. And I'm going to go over to the tool dialog here, and I'm going to change the diameter to 350 millimeters and 80 millimeters for the height. And I'm going to click OK. So now this cylinder is kind of too big for the view that I'm in, so I'm going to go to the view cube at the top right corner, and I'm going to click on the little house icon, and that will bring me back to the default view. So one of the things I like to do during this time is go down to my display setting and then go to camera and switch my camera mode from orthographic to perspective with ortho faces. This will really allow me to look at 3D models in this perspective view, and when I go to, say, a front view, it gives me a nice orthographic view, so I'm looking at it dead on in a 2D space. Now notice that I went up to the view cube and select front. Now you can use this view cube to change the various views: front, top, right, bottom, even the corners and the edges. But also you can also rotate this model by holding down the shift key and holding down the middle mouse button. So this will allow you to rotate without going down to the navigation toolbar at the bottom. If you hold down just the middle mouse button and move your mouse, this allows you to pan. And another thing to know is when you hold down the shift key and you click the middle mouse button once, you see that red dot. So if you click and hold, you'll be able to rotate around that red dot. So this will come really handy when you have a pretty complex model and you're zoomed in really close to a certain geometry and you want to just rotate around that certain dot. This will allow you to do that. So this is pretty useful to know. So now I'm back in my default view, and I'm going to put an angle to the surface, and to do that I want to go to Modify and click on the Draft command. Now this will also again bring up the three origin planes. It's asking me to choose the plane, but notice when I hover over the plane, it's selecting, or highlighting rather, the surface of the cylinder. So in order to select the plane that I want, I'm going to hover over this right plane here, and I'm going to left click and hold, and when I do that, you'll see this drop down menu appear, and it's going to ask me what exactly do I want to select. So if I hover over workspace or work plane, it'll select that right work plane. So let's click on that, and then now it's asking me to select the face. And the face is going to be the cylinder face. So I'm going to click on the face, and now this rotational manipulator just popped up, and I'm going to click, hold, and drag this up a bit to about 15 degrees, and I'm going to say OK. So now we have our angled surface here. Next thing I'm going to do is apply a fillet so that I want to make this edge a bit more round. I'm going to go to modify, I'm going to choose the fillet command, and I'm going to click on this edge and bring this in about 20 millimeters. And then I'm going to say OK. So now that we have the base of our lamp, let's save this model, and let's go over to the quick access toolbar at the top left here, and let's click on save. This will bring up the save dialog, and I'm going to give this a name, so let's just say this is my first lamp design. And I'm going to save this in a different folder. I'm going to click on the drop down here, move this up a bit, and this is going to go into my first project folder, and I'm going to click save. Now that it's saved, let's go over to the Open Data Panel icon, and let's check it out in our data panel. And now notice that in the data panel, this is the new file that I just saved. I'm in my first project folder, and in this data panel, you can also invite new project members. Right now it's just me. You can go out to the web browser to see your project details and get better and more robust data management tools on your web browser. You can also search your various projects, as well as upload, view in a different view type such as grid or list, and refresh. Now I'm going to go over to Create Form in the Create section, and click on it, and you'll see this dialog that will show up that will tell you that you've entered the sculpt environment. And I'm going to say OK. And now I'm going to go back to the create dropdown, and I'm going to select a cylinder. We're going to keep using cylinders. And notice that the planes appeared, but I'm not actually going to click on any plane. I'm going to click on the surface that I'm looking at dead on. So I'm going to click on that. And now notice that there's the center point right above your origin. We're going to want to use that. We're going to use that center point, so we're going to hover over it and it'll snap to it. You're going to click on it once, and then you're going to just drag out your cylinder to about 125 millimeters. And now your cylinder is there. And what you're going to do is you're going to want to rotate this around so you can see the cylinder on its side. You can do it with the view cube. Choose the left or the side view. Or you can hold down Shift and hold down your middle mouse button. And that will allow you to rotate around your model without going to any of your tools at the bottom. So also, if you've noticed, when you hold down the middle mouse button, you can also pan. So panning is middle mouse button, and holding down Shift and middle mouse button is rotate. So now I can see the cylinder, and I'm going to drag the length of the cylinder out. I'm going to make this a little bigger. So I'm going to make this about, let's say, 250 millimeters. Actually, let's make it 350 millimeters. So dragging it out, 350. All right. And now I'm going to click OK in the dialog box. Now we have our cylinder. I'm going to go to the right view, and I'm going to double click on this bottom edge. If you double click on a sculpt edge that is continuous, it will select the entire edge. And now I'm going to right click, and I'm going to go to Edit Form. Now, Edit Form is essentially the tool that you'll be using most of the time in the sculpt environment, and it really allows you to sculpt the body that you want. So here, what I want to do is I want to make this circular edge thinner. So I'm going to click on this center manipulator. I'm going to hold it, and I'm going to drag it to the left. And notice now when I'm dragging to the left, it's pinching this edge. And you can play around with this and see what kind of shape you want to get. So I'm going to drag this to the left, and now I'm going to double click on the next edge. I'm going to drag this to the left, double click on the next edge, drag it to the left. And now I'm basically making the diameter a bit thinner. And you can really fine tune this with these manipulators. So now, I want this edge to come over and make a somewhat of an arc. And to do that, we're going to add geometry to to add geometry, you're gonna hold down the Alt key on your keyboard, and you're gonna click on this square manipulator here. What this square manipulator does is that it will allow you to freely move around this plane, the plane that you're looking on, and it's restrained to this plane only. But everything else is free for you to move around. So I'm going to hold down the Alt key, and I'm going to click and hold on this square manipulator, and I'm going to drag this out. And notice now I can move freely around along this plane, and it's restricted just to this plane. So I'm going to drag this out a bit, and I'm going to click and hold on this rotational manipulator, and I'm going to rotate that edge around so that I can get a nice curve. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to click, press and hold Alt, press and hold this center manipulator, and I'm going to drag it out. Notice every time I hold Alt, it's adding additional edges and geometry around it. So now I'm going to rotate this a bit, give it a nice angle, because essentially this is where my shade is going to be. So I want to angle it down a bit. You can set a specific angle there. And then I'm going to drag this down kind of like there. Now I'm going to go and double click on this edge because I want this edge to be a bit straighter. So I'm going to straighten it out with that rotating manipulator. I'm going to do the same thing here. Rotate this a bit so it's got an even thickness. And yeah, that looks about right. I think I'm pretty happy with that. So I'm going to say OK. And now we have a sculpted neck. Now what we're going to do is we're going to click Finish Form because we're done with this neck. And now when you do click Finish Form, you'll notice that all the edges disappeared because when you get out of the sculpt environment, it converts your sculpt body into a solid body. But right now, since the sculpt body doesn't have any thickness, it's only a surface. And that's a subtle thing that you'll learn later, but this is just something good to know. So what we want now is we want to transform this surface body into a solid body, which means we want to make this body watertight. Right now it's not watertight. So we're going to go into the browser right now. We're going to click on this drop down, the body folder. We're going to hide our base so that we can see this entire surface body. And now we're going to go into the workspace icon, and we're going to go into patch. Now we're going to patch up this surface by filling this hole and the bottom hole. So we're going to go to create, and we're going to click on patch, and we're going to click on this edge. And notice now I just added a patch onto into that hole, which essentially fills it up. I'm going to click OK, and I'm going to do the same thing to the bottom. So I'm going to click on patch, click on the bottom edge, and say OK. So now we've patched the surface body, and notice now we have 3 surfaces. What we want to do now is stitch those surfaces together to create one solid body, and we have a tool called Stitch. So we can go to Modify, click on Stitch. We're going to click on the original surface, and then we're going to click on the 2 circular surfaces. And notice now when I do that, the 2 circular surface edges become green, which means that we're good. And now we can click OK, and now this has become one solid body. Now if I turn on the base, we got ourselves a nice sculpted neck. And now let's go ahead and create the shade. So I'm going to go back to Model, and I'm going to click on Create Form again, and I'm going to say OK. And now we're going to look at, so click on Look At the bottom, and we're going to look at that circular face at the end of your neck. And this will bring me looking at it dead on. And now we're going to go to Create Drop-Down Cylinder, pick the face that you're looking at, and we're just going to select the center. Doesn't matter exactly where. It doesn't have to be perfectly. As long as it's in the center, that will be, then you're good. So let's select the center. Let's give it a rough diameter, and now let's start sculpting this shade. So essentially, you'll do the same thing like you did with the neck, but now you're just going to make the shade. So now that we're happy with our lampshade, let's give it some thickness. And to do that, I'm going to go back to the Modify drop-down, and I'm going to click on the Thicken tool. And I'm going to rotate this around, and I'm going to pick the inside of this lamp. So I'm going to click on the inside, and notice that the arrow manipulator will show up. And I'm going to drag this arrow inward. So it's going to be at a negative value. I'm going to put -5 instead of -10. And I'm going to click on OK. So now this lampshade has some thickness, but I still need to make this edge flush with the outer edge of the neck. And there's a very easy way to do that as well. You can go back to the Modify dropdown and click on Match. The Match tool will essentially allow you to match edges with each other. So the first option is to click on the T-spline edges. So I'm going to double click on this outer T-spline edge here, which will select the entire edge. And then I'm going to go to the dialog box, click on Target Edge, and I'm going to select my target edge, which is going to be this outer edge of the neck. And once you do that, you'll notice that the T-spline edge automatically snaps to the outer edge of the neck, making it completely flush to your neck model. Now I'm going to click on OK. And now, pretty much, I have my neck and shade modeled. So I'm going to click on Finish Form to see the whole model in its entirety. And now we have a sculpted shade, sculpted neck, and a modeled base. Next thing to do is to create the chord. And since this model is a bit different from what you just saw in the gallery, we're going to have the chord come out somewhere at the bottom of the neck. So to do that, I'm going to go back to the right view in the view cube. I'm going to click on Sketch, and I'm going to go down and select the Spline tool. This will allow me to to draw a spline curve that will essentially be the path of my chord. So I'm going to pick on this plane that I'm looking at right now. So I'm going to click on it once, and now I can start drawing the spline. So I'm going to pick somewhere in the middle of the bottom and middle of the neck, and I'm going to just click on some areas of the plane that will give me kind of a swoopy chord feeling. And now when you're done with it, hover over to the check mark and click on it, and that will commit your spline curve. Now I'm going to rotate around and see it in 3D view. Next thing I want to do is I want to give this spline some thickness. And one way to do that is to first put a plane perpendicular to the spline. So I'm going to go to Construct, and I'm going to click on the drop down, and I'm going to choose Plane Along Path. So the path that I want is going to be the spline, and when I click on the spline, you'll see this plane with an arrow. You're going to want to drag that arrow all the way to the end. And then you're going to say OK. Now what you want to do is you want to be able to draw on this plane a circle, but also use that endpoint as the center point. To do that, you're going to go to Sketch, and then you're going to go to Project and Include 3D Geometry. So you're going to click on that option, and then you're going to click on the plane that you just created, and then you're going to click on that endpoint. And notice when you click on that endpoint, it turns red, which means now it is selected. You're going to go back to the Sketch drop-down, and you're going to go to Circle and create on Center Diameter Circle. Now when you hover over this endpoint, it's going to snap to it. So now you can use this endpoint as the center point and then sketch your circle. So let's make this circle, let's just say 30 millimeters. And now you can stop sketch. So now you have your circle, at the end of your spline. And now you can add some thickness. And to do that, go back to the Create dropdown and select the Sweep command. This will essentially allow you to pick the profile you like to sweep, and as well as the path you like to sweep along. So the profile is going to be the circle, and the path is going to be the spline. And notice now you have a swept circle along that path. But right now it's set to cut, and we don't want it to cut. We want it as a new body. So go to Operation and select New Body as the operation, and click OK. And now we have our chord. Now the next thing I like to do is to actually cut an opening with this chord body in the neck. And to do that, you can go to Modify and choose the Combine tool. And this will allow you to choose the target body, which is the neck, and then the tool body, which is the chord. And instead of Join as the operation, we're going to select Cut. And then we're going to also select Keep Tools, because you do also still want that chord body. I'm going to say OK. And now if I hide my chord body, you can see that the neck has a hole that's cut by the chord. And there you have it. Here is a nice simple lamp design that you've created from scratch. The next thing you can do is to right click and go to Appearance and start applying some materials. This will make your lamp look more to what you want, because right now there's no materials on it. You can start applying materials by going to all these various materials and clicking and dragging them to the part you like to create. So I'm going to go to Glass. Let's go to Smooth. Let's make this green. Let's make this shade a green glass material. I'm going to go to, let's say, Metal, and click on Brass and make the neck a nice polished brass. Then I'm going to go to Wood and make the base a nice finished mahogany wood. So let's say Glossy. And there you go. Now we have a nice colored lamp. And lastly, I'm going to go into Plastic. Actually, I'm going to go into the Other and make the chord a nice black soft rubber. Like that. I'm going to close out. Now we have a nicely designed lamp, and if you like to take this one step further, you can convert all these bodies into components. So select all these bodies and right click and say Create Components. This will then allow you to actually apply some assembly to them, apply joints to them. So we're going to go to the Assemble dropdown, and we're going to click on Insert. This essentially will look through your entire dashboard and look for all the models that you've created, and will allow you to insert whatever you want into your design. So now it's found that I have two designs. I have my first lamp, and I have the light bulb model that I uploaded. I'm going to click on the light bulb model and click on Select. When the model is inserted, you can now position the model to where you want it. So I'm going to click on the right view, and I'm going to rotate this around, and I'm going to click on the center manipulator and bring this up to where I want the light bulb to be. So I'm going to zoom in a bit. I'm going to rotate this a bit more and put it right around there. All right, that looks great. So now I'm going to do the same thing I did with the chord and the neck. I'm going to actually use the lamp model to cut the threading in the neck itself. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to hide the shade for now because I don't need to see it. Hide the shade. And I'm going to go back to the Modify, Combine option. And when I do that, it's telling me that some components have been moved, and it's asking me whether I want to continue with that current position of where the light bulb is or revert to the original. I'm going to say continue. So now I'm going to pick the target body, which is the neck, and the tool body is going to be the threading part of my my light bulb. And since I can't see it, I'm actually going to hide the neck for now, which is, I believe, this one. And I'm going to pick the threading right here. And I'm going to turn my neck back on. And now instead of join, I'm going to click on cut. And I'm going to keep the tool. And I'm going to say OK. And now if I hide my light bulb, you will see the threading perfectly cut into the lamp neck. And there you have it, a nicely designed lamp from scratch. And hope this was helpful for you. Let us know if you have any questions. We're very active on our social channels as well as our forums. And yeah, thanks for watching.